Hey, it's Francis, and welcome to another level of Dungeon Synthesis. Today, I'm going to use a sampler to try and create some more complicated arrangement ideas on that song I've been working on. Let's take a look. Here we are back in Reaper, and here's what the song sounds like so far. It's a cool start, but I think it's a little bit bland, and I'd like a little bit more movement in the mids and the high range. I'm thinking of using some kind of a pluck sound, but I don't want to use a standard synthesizer this time. I think I'm going to try doing it with a sampler. The best way to use samples in Reaper is to use the Media Explorer. Most DAWs have an equivalent of this. I have mine open down here, but if you don't, you can find it in the View menu. It's called Media Explorer, and you can use Ctrl-Alt-X to open that. I have mine defaulting to my sample library, which has this folder called Dungeon Samples, where I put the sample we're going to use today. It's called Anvil Sample, and it sounds like this. In order to trigger this sample, we're going to need to use a sampler, or we could just drag it in as an audio track. I'm going to name this track Anvil. Here it is. The problem with this is that the sample doesn't start right away, and it's stuck in one pitch. So I want to load it into a sampler in order to get a little bit more creative with it. Reaper has a sampler in it that I love. It's called Resamplomatic 5000. What I can do is I can drag a sample into it and use this envelope to shape the sound a little bit. If I zoom in on this, I can make sure that I'm starting right at the beginning with a fast attack and a long decay. Pulling this down a little bit is going to make the anvil sound a little bit snappier. And best of all, I can trigger it from my piano roll. There's something about an anvil that just screams Dungeon Synth to me. We could use this as a percussion sound, or we could use it as a melody sound, or both. Let's try both. I'm going to make an anvil melody track where I'll use the same sampler and the same sample in a very different way. I'm also going to use a very snappy envelope here. But I'm going to have the sample set to semitone shifted, which is going to change the pitch depending on the MIDI note that I input. And I'm also going to have it obey note offs, which means that it's not going to get cluttered up when I have the sample trigger multiple times. I'm probably going to have to adjust some of these other features, but I need to listen to it first to make sure that I'm on the right track. I know that I want to have a minimum note volume so that the MIDI's velocity affects the sound. And I know that I'm going to have to adjust the pitch of the sample in order to get it to be in tune with my synth. Let's start by finding a note to tune to. Here's a C. So Bow, bow, bow. So this one's a bit higher. Or a bit lower, I guess. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to go in my sampler and adjust the starting pitch. Let's try setting it to go up by 6 semitones. I think that's too many. Without that low end, it's a little bit clearer. Boom. With a tuner, I can see that now it's really close to a C. Since it's an anvil, it doesn't have a clear pitch, but I think it's close enough to a C for me to work with it. Let me try coming up with a melody. Okay, I love that. But that other percussive anvil is way too much now. So I'm going to take some of those hits out. I might actually just have one on the beat 1 of each measure and turn it down a little bit more. I also like the idea of making this phrase a little bit longer. So I'm going to duplicate this entire section, including my drum beat. And on the repeat, I think I'm going to leave out that last note from the anvil and put some type of a drum fill. Let's see what this sounds like all together and see if we're ready to move on. Great. I think I'm really starting to like this song. I'll see you next time.